to give us a little bit more of what took place if the area was actually badly affected is Mr. Paul Daniel Nahous, who is an alderman in the Diego Martin Regional Corporation. Good morning, Mr. Nahous.
Good morning.
Hi. Can you tell us what took place in your area overnight?
Well, right now I'm currently waiting a 6 a.m. situation report from Mr. Jerry David, the Director of our Emergency Operations Center. Also, the incident commander, the active incident commander for any command center for what's going on now. I could tell you a little bit about what happened up until hours in the morning. We had some roofs blown off. We had several trees fall. A couple of houses were destroyed as a result of it. Someone's roof was destroyed from debris. So far, it's not as bad as it could have been, and everything is under control right now. As we got reports coming in, I have to thank the TGPS as well as the councillors to the various areas. They have been the ones feeding the Emergency Operations Center in Diego Martin, which was activated 2 days ago. They've been feeding us with information. As we get the information, we assign field officers to assess the situation. We've been in contact with the Trinidad and Tobago Fire Service, Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the military as well. And right now in Diego Martin, the situation is fully under control. And because of how we prepared in the last year plus for what we expect in case of a tropical storm, in case of really a hurricane, I think the situation isn't so bad right now. We have all the shelters open. We have a number of shelters throughout the Diego Martin region. The families, though, that have been affected in terms of houses being destroyed or roofs being blown off and the houses being in a state where they can't occupy, we have gotten in contact with everyone, and we have made sure they have taken shelter by a relative or reported their shelter. So everyone is safe and everyone has been reported is safe and accounted for. I can't give too much information on flooding because I'm waiting for a 6 a.m. situation report on the flooding, but there are no casualties so far. The most we're getting is some property damage. Of course, lights out in different areas. However, we have everything under control and things have eased up a little bit. So just the only thing we're really worried about is in the event of flash flooding, which is something it's difficult to prepare for. However, as I said, everything is under control and we're on top of the situation, and I'm being briefed by Mr. David as anything happens.
Yeah, you mentioned everything seems to be under control, but now after Tropical Storm Bret passed, the question will be how long would it take to actually get services back up and running? You mentioned no electricity.
Now, I can't speak for TNTEC or MASA or any of the public utilities. The line minister and go down in that ministry and from those agencies will be able to speak for that. The corporation, we don't provide electricity, we don't provide those services, so I really can't say how long. However, TNTEC, I understand, as they've been in contact with us, they have hotlines up and they are aware of all the situations and they have their people on it to put back services online as soon as they can. Especially what you have to be careful of in a situation like this is that we don't get reckless in any kind of emergency situation. You don't want people out there. You want as little people out there as possible, because every person that goes out there from any kind of agency, it now becomes a danger to them. For example, Mr. David and myself were very adamant that in the height of the storm and so, and for a certain period, we don't want the councillors to be out there. We don't want them to. Some of them wanted to rush out there when this storm was hitting really hard, and we did not want anyone out there. If anyone out there creates a problem, trained personnel, especially with fire services, military and so on, trying to search and rescue for these different things. Yes, but the more people out there, the more we have to monitor now and we have to account for as well. So I can't give a definite answer about these services coming back online. However, I have faith in TNTEC especially that they will rectify the situation as soon as they can.
You mentioned injuries. You don't want to see people out on the road and that kind of thing. And were there reports of any injuries?
We have no reports of injuries at this moment. As I said, I'm waiting on the 6 a.m. status report, or 6 a.m. situation report. However, everyone seems to be safe. Everyone seems to be accounted for. And if the shelters receive any people coming in and so, they do get medical care at those shelters.
So for those homes which have been damaged, people will seek shelter by friends and probably the public shelters as well. How would assistance be given to them to rebuild?
To rebuild, I can't say this time what assistance will be given to rebuild. There are various. They're supposed to be grants in place by the state. I can't really speak for that. That's not my area. I know grants such as self-help and these things do exist and can be applied for, but in terms of the corporation, we can't provide any funding on so to rebuild that I know of at this time.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much for joining us, Alderman in the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, Mr. Paul Daniel Nahous. We now join our meteorologist on the phone to give us another update on what's taking place. Mr. Ean Wallace, good morning.
Hello, hi, good morning, Rishi, good morning, everyone.
We heard from the Met Office earlier that the tropical storm warning has been discontinued for Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, that is, I suppose, in the technical sense, good news, which obviously means that we're not necessarily set to be feeling the effects of the tropical storm that is passing, which is now along the northeast coast of Venezuela, which is Bret. That basically will now mean that we're not under that warning, but the effects will still likely be felt. As Mr. Morris said, definitely as the system has gone into the west of Trinidad and Tobago, it's still dragging a lot of moisture around with it. So therefore, the possibility of heavy showers, gusty winds, squally winds as well as the possibility of street or flash flooding is still likely, especially in areas which are already in low-lying areas, and because of the fact that the soil is already saturated, the ground is quite soaked from not only the passage of Tropical Storm Bret, but from the earlier weeks' rainfall. So therefore, we'll likely still see the effects of any sort of showers, bringing the possibility of street or flash flooding. Obviously, one thing to bear in mind is that just because of the tropical storm warning has been discontinued, you obviously should still be quite cautious. Possibility of trees that may well have fallen or branches which may have been broken off, and obviously the likelihood of debris being around and so on. So going outside, obviously you should be extremely cautious about that. But obviously that is, it is still that you should be paying quite a good attention to what's happening on your radio. Another thing that is to be of concern about is that the following showers that come through, they obviously will activate some areas which are, especially along the hillsides, which are quite damp. The possibility of you getting landslides as well is still there. So definitely, as you go through the next few hours and into the rest of the day, it is basically to still be extremely cautious about where you are and your surroundings.
How long do we have to be cautious for in terms of looking out for the rain and landslides and that kind of thing?
It is definitely for the much of today, because of the very unstable nature of the atmosphere at this time, as well as the fact that the grounds are quite soaked. Any sort of further rainfall is definitely set to exacerbate the conditions there. So if you are along a hillside, then obviously if you do get a shower during the day, which could well be triggering another sun showers, etc., and heavy downpours, that will obviously loosen the soil further, allowing you to get landslips and so on. So the idea about being cautious is until we are completely out of the effects of the system, because the winds do extend and the effects of it do extend 100 kilometers away. So even though the system is away from us, it is still the likelihood that we'll still be seeing those showers and those downpours and the occasional gusty winds with those showers. So that's what we should be concerned about.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. Ean Wallace, the C News meteorologist, just explaining what it really means since the Met Office has discontinued this tropical storm warning.